The price puzzle, exactly what we are going to solve today in this chapter number 2 from economics books. Class 9 students, be ready, because this chapter is going to be something new for you, something interesting for you, because we are going to talk about the realistic market and the market fluctuations in this video. Welcome on the platform, Diksha Vinanto, and I am your SST faculty, Tanvi Ma'am. So my dear students, as you guys are well aware, books are changed, new books are there in the market now, you have it, and now the chapters are made only and only in a perspective that you get clear everything, because something new has been added in the syllabus, right? So I don't want any scope of confusion in your mind. So the chapter says price puzzle, what drives the market. Beta, it is the very first time you guys are studying economics. The first chapter, that is building block of economics, was a chapter in which basic ideologies was clear. But here, this is a level up. This is a level up actually, because up till now, right? Up till now, no such topic, no such details were there till last year. When I was reading this chapter, I understood that these are certain concepts which used to be in class 11th economics. So now what happened na? Because obviously those books were so outdated, and it was really a need to upgrade the content, and here it is. So you might have seen a lot of times in the market that the prices fluctuate. Like it has been always said that during the time of Diwali or the wedding season, the gold prices is so high, and everyone just suggests us to wait for the prices to get dropped, and then we can buy it. During the time whenever it is market, like whenever it is festival times, right, we can see that there are certain products which are very much in demand, like diya during the time of Diwali. Those times they are little cheap in comparison to the time when market made demand is not there, right? There are a lot of times when we see the changes in the price of fruits as well. Like if we see when summer season is there, and it is the first time when mangoes comes in the market, it is a very high price, but eventually it drops down. So you can understand, and you can actually understand this chapter only by analyzing your market nearby, right? Analyze the things when we are talking about all of them, because this is how the clarity will be there. Right? First of all, let me tell you what you are going to study in this chapter and how are we going to study this chapter. There are 4 big questions that we will solve in the entire chapter. And what is that? What 4 factors influence the demand and supply of goods and services? So as you guys are reading economics can only be solved with the help of goods and services. Actually, the counting of goods and services, the value of goods and services is the worth by which we know about what? Economics, right? In this chapter, what basically we are going to solve the puzzle, the price puzzle, that in market, what drives it? Is it goods and services? The number increasing? Why it is increasing? Is there more demand? How it comes that we need more supply? Etc. etc. So first thing is to understand the factors. How are prices determined by the demand and supply interaction? As I just told you with the help of examples, there are a lot of time there are differences in the price of goods and services. So how it is being driven? Right? What is market equilibrium, and does it exist in the real world? So here also one term we will learn, that is market equilibrium. That's new to us. How and why does the government step into the market? Exactly. In the last chapter, you learned about 3 types of economics, bacha. That is planned economy, mixed economy, as well as market economy. In that, you saw the clear-cut role of government, how government influences the economy. Yeah, what is the role of the government? Like if we talk about planned economy, it is exactly what we can say, they controlled by the central authority, and that central authority is from the government itself. But in the market economy, it is solely depending on what? The market analysis. That means the fluctuations in the market, and that too on demand and supply. When we talk about mixed economy, when both market as well as central authority plays a role. So, you just heard a word that market economy depends upon 2 factors, that is demand as well as supply of the product. and the entire chapter is all about them, right? Prices never change randomly. They just react to what people want, how much is available, season, festival, trends, and even rumors too. There are a lot of time that rumors being spent. Like if we see the role of social media right now, I just remember one example. During the time among Gen Zs, one product was getting so much in craze of, and that was that long sipper, that big sipper, right? What happened on social media? Everybody started posting along with that sipper, and what happens in the market? That demand increase. When demand increases, what will happen? The makers will feel that let's increase the price because people are willing to buy it. Getting my point over there? So yes, it is actually the reaction of people that what do they want? How much do they want? And even it actually nowadays it is also being influenced by the social media too, right? So this is what we are going to learn. How we are going to learn is a big question now. Ma'am, how we are going to ace this chapter in a way that after watching this video I have not to go anywhere. Beta, what you have to do is, first thing, you are listening this video, right? Everything in this video is taken from NCERT, but in a way that you feel interested, you feel interacted, right? The second thing, I have added certain MCQs after every topic so that we can understand how the question comes from it. At the last, we are going to solve all the NCERT questions which are actually important for your exam. And this is the agenda for the day. So my dear students, I would suggest you to take your NCERTs, your pen, as well as your paper, so that if you find something important, you can note it down. And by NCERT, you can understand that which topic I am dealing here right now. So, ready, steady, and let's go. So, the first thing what you have to study is, beta, every day in the market, this price puzzle is going on. Like when I just told you about mangoes bought last week are now half the prices. It happens actually whenever certain fruit come in the market, and that is basically the seasonal fruit. When it initially comes, now it is of so much high price. Like let me tell you one example. So I was traveling and my mother used to like lychees a lot, right? So it was the first time I saw lychees on the market in that season, not in the entire life. So in that season, so I thought that at my home, my mother should eat the first thing that came in the market in this season. So I went and bought it. It was around 300 rupees kg, and I thought that I can buy it for my mama. But what happens, you know, that after 5 days, I was passing through the same road, the same person sold me those lychees at 120 rupees kg. Now what happened? Beta, because it was the first time in that season that product came into the market, and it was of high price. Because what happens now, when we see something for a long period of time, with a distance of long period of time, we feel like let's buy it, right? It's long time we have not taken lychees. It's long time. It's summer season. We want mangoes. So in the initial days, the prices are high, but eventually the prices will drop. And there is a science behind this. There is an economy behind it. Within this chapter, I am going to clear you everything. Like vegetable cost more in the morning and less by the evening. It's always being said by my mom that whenever we used to go for vegetable shopping, and like she will be like, we will go in the end. Because in the end, what that vendors want now, they want to just release their stock and they will decrease the price eventually. They don't want to take the products at their home. Okay, the next is like the price of onions change every few months, and that is something we see actually, right? Sometimes the prices are so high, sometimes the prices are so low. It actually depends upon the cropping pattern, the irrigation, natural thing also. Like if it is flood, then the onions get destroyed. right? They sell it in the less price because it is not of that good quality, and many more factors like that. The same flight seat, 3,000 today, 9,000 tomorrow. This is something I faced. You know what happened, na? You know what happened last Diwali? So right now I'm in Bangalore, so I wanted to go to my hometown, right? Last Diwali I was just checking the flights and it was like decent price. It was around 7,000. I'll tell you the exact price so that you can feel connected, you can feel understand. It was 7,000 around, and I was like, okay, it's okay because it is the usual price. I go home. So what happened? It was just usual price, and I thought that okay, after 2 days I will book my ticket. What happened after 2 days? That price rose to 11,000, and I was thinking that it can further rose, right? It can further increase. So I just bought the ticket at 11,000. You know what happened? You know what happened? The days when it was like closer to Diwali, the price dropped to 6,500, and I was like, what I did, man. So this is something what actually happens in our day-to-day life. Mall announces big discount at certain times of the year. We will see now big billion sales coming in the online platforms also. And even when we visit malls, this is 50% buy one, get one. So how does this occurs? It occurs on the two parameters again, demand as well as supply. Okay. So first we will learn about what is demand by. What is demand basically? So the quantity of product people are willing and able to buy at a particular price. There is difference between two words written over here, right? There is a great difference between two words written over here, and what is that? Willing to buy and able to buy. Basically, now I'll tell you one more example. I'm so much connecting this chapter to my life. So basically, consider a fact that I want to buy iPhone, right? I want to buy iPhone, but I want the best version of it. So what happened? The money is not in my pocket, and hence I'm waiting. So that is what willing to buy, right? And whenever the day will come, I will buy that. It will be able to buy. So the quantity of product the people are willing and able to buy at a particular price depending on a need, the preference, the season, the trend, and the income. Like, let me tell you, I always think that do I have a need of buying the iPhone? Okay. Is it my preference, right? Let me wait for the next product to come, 18 to come, so that 17 price drop, right? Or yes, it is trendy, it's with everyone. I'm just giving the examples. Does my income goes in a way that I can buy iPhone? So all these factors are the factors which we think before buying a product or before thinking to buy a product, isn't it? Yes. So what is demand, bacha? The demand is basically the ability of a person, right, to like willing to buy product as well as able to buy a product. And this demand depends on certain factors like need, preference, season, trend, and income. You know that when a person is able to buy that value of a product, it is known as purchasing power. Right? Purchasing power is also an important terminology, a measure of how much one unit of currency can buy at a particular time. Right? Purchasing power is basically your ability to buy something at the value of what money do you have. So it depends upon two factors, willingness, that means desire to buy a product, as well as ability, that means purchasing power. Do you have that much money in your pocket that you can buy a product? Is actually the real demand in the market. As I was just telling you, the exact demand of increasing of that popular sipper of Gen Zs, right? People were willing to buy that product, right? And even people were able to buy that product, and hence the demand of that product increased in the market. A very, very good example of this is also during the time of COVID-19 when the mask, right? Mask was being sold in the market, and eventually what happens? The demand raised. But do you think that right now the demand of the mask is similar to that of what was at the time of COVID-19? No. Because demand depends upon various factors, the need, the preference, the season, the trend, as well as the income. right? So now again, bacha, what is demand? Demand is basically the quantity of product which you are willing to buy as well as you are able to buy. And that ability to buy is known as what? Purchasing power. So willingness plus ability is equals to real demand of something in the market. Let's take the example. The example that is actually giving in NCERT, because beta, whenever you write the answer, you are in class 9th, and I think that I should guide you in that way. Right? So I should guide you in that way. NCERT examples are needed to be written over here. Right? NCERT example is something which you have to write, because whenever the examiner check the copy, they don't consider the examples which you write from here and there, but sometimes you can write wrong also. So I would suggest you, beta, whenever you write any answer, please prefer what? NCERT answers. This habit can save you in class 10th also. Okay? So I'm just trying to save you in class 10. That's the reason that this advice is being given. Follow it. Follow it. This is the only option you have. So NCERT example from mango season. As mango season approaches, prices are so high initially. Yes. So people buy small quantities. But when price starts falling, people prefer to buy larger quantities. The everyday link between the price and how much we buy is actually the demand. Yes, exactly. When in the starting, when we go and buy mangoes, if it is 300 rupees per kg, what will happen? We will just bring 1 kg. But what if the prices somewhere drops to 200? We will think that, acha, let's take 2 kgs. But when the prices drop to 100 rupees per kg, and if there is demand at our home, we are capable to buy it, what we will do? We will increase the quantity by 4 in number. Okay, and this is actually on which the demand is dependent on. Your ability to buy, your willingness to buy are the two pillars, are the two factors on which the demand of a product is based upon. Like, let's take the example, right? Let's take the example of mangoes. By the example of mangoes, let's learn, beta, what law of demand is. You know that up till now, this was the concepts that were given in class 8 economics. And if you are the student who is going to study what? Commerce in class 11th, na, you will feel that, yes, Tanvi Ma'am was right. These are the concepts over there. Actually, they are. So, what is law of demand? Just now, we studied the example of mango. Right? We got to know that, beta, whenever the price increases, right, the quantity of the demands also is affected. Let's take the example. Whenever the prices of the product increases, you will not be buying the same quantity when it was reduced. What you will do? You will adjust. You will adjust and the quantity demanded will be reduced, for obvious. But if the prices of a product reduces, what will happen? The quantity increases. Like when the prices of mangoes reduced, we are able to buy more mangoes and hence the quantity increased. There is an inverse relationship between what? There is an inverse relationship between price and quantity. Price and quantity. When price will increase, quantity will decrease. When price will decrease, quantity will eventually increase. Like for example, if the mango is for 150 rupees kg, you will just buy 1 kg of it. Right? But if the same mango is for 100 rupee, you will buy 2 kg of it. And if the mango is for 50 rupees, then you can buy 3 kgs of it, because the money in your pocket allow you to do so. Like if you go to the stationery, and your mother gave you 100 rupees, right? Your mother gave you how many rupees, bicha? 100 rupees, and you need pen because your exams are overhead. So what you thought, let me buy a pen which can last throughout my exam, because my mother told this is the only price you are getting for your pen. For example, I'm giving this. No one is so strict, although. So what you thought that let me buy 10 pens for 10 rupees each, so that I can buy whatever the pen required for 100 rupees. But what if exam season is not there? You went to that same stationery shop with your friend, right? And you thought that my friend is buying a pen for 200 rupees. What will I do, yaar? How will I like maintain my status? What will you do? You will buy a fancy sa pen for 100 rupees. That happens sometimes. Why? Because of the demand. Because of the demand, and the demand that based upon several factors. During the exam time, you focused on what is needed, and during the non-exam time, you focused on your status. I'm just telling you certain examples so that you can feel connected with the concept of the law of demand. But here, law of demand, we understood that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. All the factors held constant. Your factors are not being changed. So what happens in economics? To understand a concept, beta, we draw the graphs. Okay, so pay attention to the graph that is given in the NCERT book. This is straight taken from the NCERT book, nowhere else, bacha. Okay, so what happens here? It is the prices of mangoes, starts with 50 rupees, 100 rupees and 150 rupees on y-axis. On x-axis, I have written the quantity of mangoes, right? So when, right, pay attention to that, whenever the price of the mango was 150 rupee, the price of the mango was 150 rupee as it is written here. How much quantity of mango you can buy, beta? You can buy only one quantity of mango, and the dot comes here, isn't it? But when the price dropped to 100, now you are able to buy two quantity. Price dropped more, now you can buy. So you can see this line, okay? This line basically is known as individual demand curve, okay? Individual demand curve. But now, do you feel that in economics we are talking about one person? Yes, I can understand that economics means household management, but here in economics, we are not going to study only about one person, but with the help of these individual concepts, we are going to learn the larger concept over here. So now let's move to the second step. You can analyze what? Analyze here the individual curve. How does it looks like? Because what happens, beta? It is not about one person buying mangoes. It is about all the people buying mangoes. It is not only about mangoes, but it is about all the products that are in the market. From this individual demand, now let's talk about what is market demand. Right? Basically, market demand is simply a term that is sum of every individual buyer's demand. Right? Like there are 3 persons in a country. Just an example, not possible, but there are 3 people in a country, Q1, Q2 and Q3. All of them are buying the same mangoes, but as the prices were different, one of them might be rich and can buy more, other cannot be rich, can buy less. When the price drops, the poor can also buy, the rich was buying although. So what we can do is the sum of the people in a country, the sum of individual buyers in a country actually tells us about the market demand. Actually tells us about what, bacha? The market demand. Now let's see with the help of the table, same on the example of mangoes given here. I think that whoever made this book, now mango might be his favorite fruit. Everywhere in the entire chapter you are going to see the same example being taken, that is of mangoes. And even I will suggest you that wherever your exam comes by, please write mangoes only. Okay, so now whenever we come about prices, okay, so when mango was for 150 rupee, the first individual person in the country, that is Srivalli, bought 1 kg of mangoes, but Alex was little rich, bought 2 kgs and Israt bought 3 kgs. So in the market, right, among all these 3 people, how much was the demand? 6 kg of mangoes was the demand. But when price dropped to 100, Shivalli can afford now 2 kg. However, Alex can afford 4 kg and Israt can afford 6 kgs. That is equals to the market demand of 12 kg. Right? Now let's move to when the price more dropped to 50 rupees, 3 kg by Shivalli, Alex 6 kg, Ishrat 9 kg and the market demand increased to 19 kg. But here the question is, beta, what is, ma'am, market demand? Market demand is the quantity of the product that can a buyer buy. That is Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, that is market demand. Getting my point? Like here, in the first case, market demand is 6 kg. In the second case, when price dropped, the market demand is 12 kg. And then the third time, the market demand is 18 kg. Now, we have to analyze the same, the individual demand as we did, the same market demand with the help of this graph to understand the curve of the demand. To understand what, bacha? The curve of the demand. So now let's go and draw this graph, x-axis and y-axis. On y-axis, prices of mangoes are written. On x-axis, quantities of mangoes are written. Right? When the price of the mango was 150 rupees, what was the market demand? It was 6 kg. So see here the price, it is 150, right? The number of mangoes, the quantity was 6 kg. Now price dropped to 100 rupees. Here is 100 rupees. The quantity dropped to increased to 12. The price dropped to 50. The quantity increased, and here is the curve, less slanting than the individual demand. What you have to analyze here is the slants of what, the figure of basically the individual demand curve of Shrivalli and the market demand curve of all the buyers in the market. Okay, getting the point? Because that is actually the total, the sum of different people which will actually change the curve, for obvious, right? So did you get the exact definition of what we studied up till now? Let's revise it once again. So we started with what, beta? We started with the definition of demand. Right? Because the prices of the product, the puzzle is only solved by two parameters, demand and supply. What is demand by? Demand is basically the ability of a person as well as willingness of a person to buy a product. Right? The willingness and ability of individual as well as market may all individual is quite different, and we analyzed it with the help of the graphs as well as those tables. So now, my dear student, individual demand is one consumer's quantity at different prices. Market demand is all buyers' quantity added up to each price. Why? Both of them is required because in economy, we have to study about individual as well as all the individual present in the market too. But now what happened when we started the chapter? I just told you that actually the demand depends upon various factors. The need, the preference, the season, the festival. Yes, but there are other factors too. There are other factors too. One among them is related product. What if Shrivalli could not afford mangoes at all? Right? Could not afford mangoes at all. He will buy the alternate product, that means banana, which was quite cheaper. What if Shrivalli is a person who actually don't like eating mangoes, but no one in India should do that. Okay, so actually Shrivalli is the person who actually don't like eating mangoes. Then what will happen? He will buy apple if he can afford, obviously. So beta, there are other factors which shift the demands, which changes the demands also. When I was telling you the graph, I just told you one thing, that here the factors remain constant, the factors on which the demand is depending on. But sometimes there are other factors which can actually shift or change the demands, and one among them is substitute good. Yes, the substitute good which a buyer can buy. For example, there are two things in the market. One is coffee and the other one is tea. However, coffee is expensive and tea is cheaper, right? The person preferred buying tea over coffee at that time. Like, there are a lot of times when we go to the market to buy some product, for example, bed sheets, then we found out that this is for 2000 rupees, however, this is for 1000. Actually, there was difference in the quality, but what we did, let's buy this 1000 wala, we will use for some time and then we can even change for the next time. Getting my point? When we go to buy shoes, sometimes we see that shoes prices are 10,000 rupees and we feel that yeah, it is too costly. Rather than buying one shoe at 10,000, let's buy 10 shoes at a price of 1,000 each. It happens, our mentality is sometimes like that. Why? Because there are alternate options available in the market. That means substitute goods available in the market. If a person can't buy mango, the person can buy banana. Right? If a person don't like Pepsi, can buy Coke, etc. Right? If Shrivalli can't afford mangoes, he can buy bananas instead. Why? Because the substitute goods are there. One more thing, the demand depends upon one more factor, and that is contemporary goods or complementary goods, sorry, right? Complementary goods. Like, for example, you buy a car, right? You buy a car. Do you think that only buying a car will be possible? No. You have to spend for obvious reasons to fill the fuel in that, petrol or diesel, whatever it is. Getting my point? Why? That is a complementary product, right? If you are buying books in the school, you have to buy notebooks. That's a complementary product, right? We go sometimes to the cafes and we feel like something complimentary is there. We usually started buying that, and the demand of that product increases eventually. So what I'm telling here, goods generally are used together. If you buy a printer, you have to buy the cartridge, right? Smartphones, if you buy smartphones, what will happen? Then you have to buy earphones eventually. You buy the car and then petrols too, right? Sometimes these contemporary products, in the example is movie tickets plus popcorn. It becomes a ritual that we are going to movie, we have to buy popcorns, right? Getting my point, beta? So basically what happens, the contemporary prices increases, the demand of the pair decreases. Okay, what happens, beta? The contemporary prices increases, the demand of the product decreases. Right? Getting my point? Now when we talk about substitute goods, substitute prices increases, the demand for the product other product increases. Why, beta? Why? Because when we have option, the other option will also try to increase the price, because they know that my worth and my value is in demand in the market. My value and demand in the market. But now whenever there is contemporary product, now you know that the person is buying car, right? That person, if it is buying car, he can only buy car if he can afford the petrol, right? And hence when complementary price increases, the demand of the pair decreases. When you make it expensive, the demand will decrease eventually. This is what happens. So there are two other factors on which the demand is dependent on, and that is what, beta? Related product, that means substitute goods, or contemporary goods which cannot be separated from each other. Here we have a question. We have a question by tea and coffee or mangoes and banana are examples of what we just studied, right? If a person cannot afford coffee, the person will buy tea. If the person cannot buy mangoes, can buy bananas. If a person do not like eating mangoes, the person will buy bananas. What are those? They are substitute goods. And this is how the question can come from this particular topic, right? It was easy, but I added it for your knowledge, for your efficiency. And I hope now the concept regarding the demand is crystal clear in your mind. Okay? Great to know this. Now moving further, yes, like there are more forces on which the demand is dependent on, like income of the consumer. Obviously, if there is higher income, people can afford more. Quantity demanded rise it even at the same price, right? Let me take you example, like a product that is being sold in the mall, right? The similar product which is being sold on the streets is less expensive than the product being sold in the mall, because people know that. The seller actually know that. Who comes to the mall? Who have money in the pocket. They are able to afford it. When we go to the street, the people there, the belonging people there could not afford that. And hence the prices fluctuate depending upon the income of the consumer. Okay, taste and preference, exactly. Like if we talk about taste and preference, I can give you a very good example about that. If you see that in the coastal regions, in the coastal region, there is high demand of non-veg and fish. Why? Because people know that the preference and the taste is what. But whenever we go to certain places where non-veg is not that preferred, the quantity will be decreased, but the prices will be high because it is less available in the market, right? So next is about population and makeup. More children, sports shoes. Yes, this is very interesting. So what happened now, beta, we have group of people. Okay, group of people, I mean different group of age group of people living in country, right? When we talk about the demand of shoes, you will see that there is high demand of school shoes during the time when children are like around from age of to 16. Because they are school going kids, right? More children, sports shoes, more workers, the demand of formal goods, more elderly people, they will like demand for the most comfortable shoes. This is what happens, right? So it depends upon the population in the makeup. There might be a region where the population of children is more. There might be places where the population of old people is more, and the product quantity depends on that. Diminishing utility, this is very good. Now here comes a term that is diminishing utility, and this is interesting. So in the summer season, right, when you just see the mango, you become so excited for the very first time, and you are like, bhai, I will buy in whatever price it is. Even if it is one mango at 500 rupees, I will buy it because it is like long time I have not bought the mango. It happens why? Because the utility of the single product is higher at that time. Okay, the utility is basically the satisfaction you get after using that product, right? The satisfaction you get after using that product. So it is higher at that time. The second time it will be like okay, right? The third time more okay. The next more times it will be more okay. So that is known as diminishing utility. Okay, as extra usefulness falls, willingness to pay falls. Obviously, you were like ready to buy a mango for 500. Now you will think that nahi bhai, I have eaten a lot. Let's not buy it for 500. It's not worth it because now you tasted it already. And the utility is diminishing or the utility is decreasing. Next comes the seasonality. Yes, bookshops at the season starts, what happened? There will be more crowd, prices depends upon that. Sweet shops in the festivals, prices depends on that. Sweaters in winter, timing not rise. It's always being said by my mama, whenever the winters are eventually like just coming, or it's leaving, buy the sweaters at that time, the prices will be less. Why? Because at that time the demand is less, right? Whenever it's not extreme winter, when it's extreme winter, prices will be high, quantity demand is high, right? Getting my point? And that is actually future prices expectations, and this is very important. Like when people got to know, like were being made aware that gold is going to cross what? 1 lakh rupees. So everyone in India was started buying, like they started buying gold a lot. And then Pradhan Mantri came and urged people not to buy gold. We are facing the global crisis because of that. Right? So yes, when we are aware about that, in future the price of this product is going to be increased. Like during the COVID times, people started hoarding the products, yaar, because they were thinking that the prices is going to be crazy, and because of that hoarding, even the prices increased. Quantity was less in the market, prices increased. So these are the more forces behind which the demand of a product is depend upon. Cleared? Very good. Chalo. Next is demand for a good refers to the quantity that buyers are. Now coming to more questions, demand for a good refers to the quantity that buyers are willing to buy at any price whatsoever. So will they buy at any price whatsoever? No, obviously not. Willing and able to buy at a given price, obviously this is correct, but let's check other also. Able to produce during a season? No, actually the production depends upon various factors. Required to buy, rather it is of two terms, that is willing to buy plus able to buy. That is actually the real demand of a product. Okay, that is actually bacha what? The real demand of a product. And demand is not mere desire. This you have to keep in mind. It is not just desire. We desire a lot in the day that I have to buy this, I have to buy that. But actually what we are able to buy because of the purchasing power at a particular price, that is the real demand. Okay, that is what the real demand. Chalo, very good. Now moving towards the next pillar of this market puzzle, the price puzzle we are studying since starting. Okay, and that is supply. Supply, the law of supply, as we studied demand and the law of demand. When I talk about supply, beta, what is supply? It is just the quantity of product that the sellers are willing and able to offer at a particular price. So basically what is supply? When the sellers are able to as well as willing to make the product at a particular price, then it is known as what? Supply. But here along with the supply linked is what, beta? Law of supply too. Okay, law of supply, which is actually different from the demands. What we studied in demand, whenever there will be increase in demand of a product, the prices will decrease, and there was inverse relation between demand and supply. Demand and price. Whenever okay, I forget which I used first. Let's go to here. Okay, now what happened when the prices of the product will increase in the market? Pay attention. Keep in mind while reading this concept that you are a supplier. You are a supplier and your motive will be what? To earn more and more profit for obvious reasons. So when you are a supplier, the price of the product increases. What happens? The quantity supplied will also increase. Now you got to know the information that during the time of COVID, the mask demand is increasing in the market. You are the supplier. You will try to make as more as possible because you have to earn as more as possible. Right? Similarly, but when the prices of a product decrease in the market, you will be supplying less quantity. There is a direct relationship between price as well as the demand. The price as well as the demand. However, indirect relationship between price and the demand in terms of demand. Right? But in supply, it is direct relationship. Now let's take the example similar to that of mangoes, because the person who made this book is what? Is like just wanting to eat mangoes. So coming to Shrivalli, sellers as per supply schedule of mangoes. So when the mango was charging just rupees 50, the person supplied 1 kg of mango. Right? Then the price increased to 100, the person started supplying 2 kg. The price increased to 150, the person started supplying 3 kgs. And here we have to make the supply curve as we just saw in the individual demand also. Okay, this supply curve is basically individual curve. What it is, beta? Individual curve. Here I am talking about just a single supplier. The single supplier, here it is prices of mangoes and here it is quantities of mango. So beta, what happened when in the market mangoes were being sold at 50 rupees only? The supplier decided, let me produce only 1 kg, and the center curve is here. The dot is here. Let's go beyond it. Now the price is increased to 100. The person will increase the quantity. 150, person will increase the quantity. And this is the curve actually, which is known as individual supply curve. It is known as what, bacha? Individual supply curve. Understanding or not? Right? I hope that the khichdi is not being made, not able to like differentiate between demand and supply. There is a huge difference between the two. Okay? And this is what? Individual supply curve. But do you think that there is only one supplier in the market? No, obviously. Then we have to see the market supply curve also. Before moving to that, let's quickly solve a question. Right? Because there is lot more in your mind, and let's check whether you are able to figure that out or not. So consider the statements regarding the law of demand. Before moving to the supply, let's check whether the law of demand is clear or not. Okay. Point number 1, the prices and the quantity demanded move in the same direction. So here the question is about law of demand, and we know that bacha, the quantity and the price, right? The quantity and the price in terms of demand is inversely proportional to each other. That means they do not go in the same direction. Okay, so the first statement is wrong here. Next is, it holds only when the other factors are kept constant. Yes, that's true. That curve holds only when the other factors are kept constant. Because why? Question is, ma'am, why? Because beta, that other factors are different for different people, right? And we cannot make a collective curve, right? Collective curve seeing the differences in the choices of the people, and hence what we are doing is we are keeping the other factors at constant, and 2 is the correct option for this question. Okay, clear? We have a lot more to do. The curve shows slope downwards from left to right. What does it represent? What does it represent? Now see, you might be seeing that, ma'am, it is just a simple curve and we will understand it, beta. But now these questions make you clear that you have to analyze those curves very nicely. Like it is written, the curve that is going down. So what does it mean? When the prices are high, the quantity is less. Price is reducing, the quantity is little bit increasing. Reducing, more increasing. More increasing, more increasing. So what does it show? It shows the inverse relationship between price and the demand. What does it show, beta? Inverse relation between the price and demand. Inverse relation between the price and demand, and hence it is the example for a demand curve. Not of the supply curve, not of market equilibrium, not of price floor. Okay, get it? Chalo, cool, very good. Now, moving towards the market supply. We just studied that what is basically supply. Supply is the supplier's choice, right? As well as like willingness, as well as the ability to produce a product. Then we saw that individual supply depends on the 2 factors, that is price and quantity. Price increases, quantity increases, price decreases, quantity decreases. And we saw the curve, right? Increasing curve according to the same particular definition of the individual supply. Now moving towards the market supply, we are assuming that here in the market there are 3 people, seller A, seller B and seller C. So what will be the market supply? The sum total of what these people offer to make, okay? Offer at each price. Like when it was 50 rupees for the mangoes, seller A was able as well as willing to make only 1 kg of mango. Seller B 3, seller C 2, which is equally to what, beta? 6 kgs. Now when we move to 100 rupees, it is 2 kg by seller A, 4 kg by seller B, 6 kg by seller C. That is actually 12 kg. And the same is like difference with 150 rupees. Seller A produced more because now 150 bhai, let's get more, I will produce more. Seller B moved its number to 7 and seller C moved its number to what? Moved its number to 8. And here actually the market supply also increases. Like in the first case, when price was less, market supply was less. Right? In the second case, the price was like increased a little, the demand, the supply increased. Okay, the price increased more, the supplier wants more money and he will increase the supply in the market. A plus B plus C is known as market supply. What? A plus C is known as market supply, and we shall see the curve of them too. Right? Now, this is individual supply curve and this is market supply curve. I hope that you can analyze the difference as the same was in demand curve too. Right? So if we see this is more shrinking and this is more elaborative. Okay? What happens, beta, when we are just analyzing a single person, what will happen? Right? It will increase, but not in this space. Okay, so what will happen when the price is of 50 rupees, the quantity a person can make is 1. Okay, 100 rupees, the quantity a person can make is 2. 150 rupees and the curve is like this. But here, because it is collective of so many people, right, we are making total of it depending on their capability. When there was price 50, all of them was making 6 quantity in number. Prices raised to 100, quantity raised to 12. Prices raised to 150, quantity raised to 18. And you can see the difference of curve so that whenever the MCQ come, you can make it. Okay? Let's take some examples now. Let's take some example and understand this concept very nicely, as so much we studied and we just now filter our mind with the exact points what we have to remember. Okay? So now you have a land, 1 acre of land. You are a farmer, right? You are a farmer, you have two options. You have the option of either you can grow wheat or you can grow barley. Okay? But when you decided to grow wheat, actually it was making lower profit. It was actually making lower profit, more hard work. Then you give a thought that let's talk about barley. Here exactly, sorry, but the example is about chickpea and I just wrote here barley. Let's replace it with the same example given in the NCERT. Okay, so when the farmer was thinking about chickpea, he got to know that, yeah, by this I can earn higher profit. Now, don't you feel that the price, right? The price is a factor on which farmer's choices depend upon. Obviously, by farmer will grow something which has high profit, not something which has low profit. And the farmer's choice depend upon price. The farmer's choice will make sure the supply. And hence we can say that, yes, supply directly depends on the price. Getting my point? Exactly. Okay? So more chickpeas next season, that means more what? Income. Here I just want to say that the prices affects the supply decisions. Obviously, ma'am, this is something we know. Right? As we studied, but other than those things, there are certain other factors which actually influence demand. Yes. So now we will learn what else actually affects or shifts the supply too. Now here comes more points, that is number of supply. Number of sellers. Like when we are deciding, like you're small now, you're a kid now, but when you will grow up, or you might have seen talking, your parents are talking about it, or your siblings are talking about it, who are elder in age, who wanted to start a business, that whenever they want to start a business, what they think, beta? What they think, yeah, let me start something that is not so popular in the market. Right? Because whenever something is so popular, there is so much of what we can say competition. And if the another company is making the product in large number, then somewhere we have to compromise, or somewhere our product needs more, what we can say, betterment for getting the stake in the market. Right? So what happens, beta? The number of sellers also affect that. There are more sellers, the supply will exceeds. Obviously, right? The supply exceeds the demand. The prices fall. Because whenever the demand increases, the prices of a product falls. But whenever there are fewer sellers, right, in the market, there are fewer sellers, the supply will short. Right? The supply is less and hence the price rises. Again, let's take the example of COVID-19, where there were less number of oxygen cylinders, but the demand was high, then the prices increases eventually. Prices eventually increase because it was shorting of supply. It was shorting of supply. Let's read it once again, beta. When there are more sellers for a product in the market, when there are more sellers for a product in the market, the supply will increase. Right? When the supply will increase, it exceeds demand and the prices fall, because you are flooding the same thing in the market. The prices will. Now what happens whenever there is a product that is fewer, supply shorts and the prices rises? One factor is this. Okay? I am talking this irrespective of the law of demand and supply. Okay? The next is better technology. Now better tech cuts cost. right? Now drip irrigation and weathering sensor raise yield, cold storage extends reach. Now what happens, beta? So in farming here particularly we are talking, so the farmer was totally dependent upon the natural irrigation or irrigation through tube wells, etc., etc., but in that he was using more water. So he got to know about the new technology, that is drip irrigation. It was costly, but what will happen? The yield will increase and hence the supply will increase. So better tech cost costs, drip irrigation, weathering sensors, cold storage, it extends reach, it extends your supply in the market. Future expectations, again the same thing, expecting peak season prices, potato wholesale hold back stocks now to sell later. I will tell about this story about holding the products, particularly in agriculture sectors. Okay? Again, one more factor on which this supply chain depends upon is the prices of the related product. By exactly, the farmer's crop choice depends upon which is more profitable. He got two options, either to grow wheat or to grow chickpea. What he decided? Which was of higher profit. Right now I'm talking about supply. You will make the product in which you get more profit for obvious reasons, right? Plant more chickpea next season. So producers move towards where the crop pay more, shifting what gets supplied. Okay, get beta? Is it clear to everyone now what is demand and what is supply? Okay, now when I was telling that what all other things are we going to study in this chapter, there was a topic that was named as market equilibrium. What was the topic, bacha? Market equilibrium. Now what is equilibrium here? Let's separate it in the two parts. Market, we know market depends upon the factor of supply and demand. Fine. Now what is equilibrium? Equilibrium is a level of stage when the demand and supply becomes equal, and we are like, is it possible? Right? Is it actually happening, ma'am? When the demand and supply, the level of demand and supply becomes equal, let's understand that, and when it can be possible, let's understand that too. So what is market equilibrium? The condition of the prices when quantity demanded is equals to quantity supplied, where demand is equals to that of supply. This is known as equilibrium. No surplus is there, that means no product is more, no product is in shortage. The market is cleared. Like for example, let's take the example again of mangoes. When mangoes are being sold at 40 rupees each kg, the Q demanded is 38, the Q supplied 6. Why? Why? Pay attention to that. When the price of the mango is 40 rupees, I just got scared from some. Okay, so what happens when the price of a product or mangoes particularly here is 40 rupees? When it was less price, okay, what happens? The quantity demanded was more because people are not capable to buy more. When they are capable to buy more, but the person who is supplying is only able to supply 6 pieces. Now what will happen? The demand is more, supply is less, there will be excess demand in the market. Now there was a time when the price of the similar product was 100 rupees. Now the quantity demanded is 12 and the person is also willing to supply more. Why the person is supplying more? Because now the increase in price. He wanted to earn profit, bhai. At that time he was not willing to supply because the prices was less. Okay? The next is when the price increased more, he supplied more, he wanted more profit, but the demand in the market decreased as people don't want to buy it in so much costly price. But yes, in those 3 particular cases, there was one case in which the demand is equals to that of supply, and this condition is known as market equilibrium. The rest, first one is excess demand, the last one is excess supply. Okay, whenever there will be market equilibrium, your graph will look like this. Your graph will look like this. So here in the graph are the quantity of things produced and these are the prices. Right, we will draw 2 curve here, individual curve it is, right? The curve of demand looks like this, prices more, quantity is less, prices decrease, quantity increases. But the supply wala will look like this, like for example, when the price is less, I just got confused. When the quantity is less, ठीक है, wait, when the quantity is less, the supply is more, and this is how the graph looks like. And here in the midpoint, it will become an equilibrium, which is known as market equilibrium. But now a question comes in our mind, ma'am, is this market equilibrium realistic, bhai? No, not at all. This market equilibrium is actually not a realistic condition. Not a realistic condition. Okay, let's come back to a question at point number E, where the demand and supply curves interacts. What it is true, right? Quantity demand exceeds supply. So quantity demand जो है that exceeds supply. Let's see, quantity supplied exceeds demanded, quantity demanded equals supplies, exactly the condition of equal, that is known as equilibrium. Okay, that is known as equilibrium. Okay, and this point is E point. Fine, clear? Okay, great. So does equilibrium exist in the real world? No, it exists only in theory, beta. In reality, market is so dynamic, the market is so dynamic, where demand and supply changes due to technology, wages, interest rate, war, weather, pandemics, disasters, and they keep on shifting. Okay, and hence that equilibriums never exactly settles. NCERT gives you the example of what? Mask. Actually, the demand surged during the time of COVID-19, right? But the supply could not catch up by there were not that much suppliers in the market. But eventually, when there was more demand, the suppliers started producing. At the time, what happened? Supplier adjusts the demand in the market, and then when we are like over with the COVID-19, what will happen? Pandemic ends, the quantity, the demand of the quantity of the mask decreased, but there was supply that is higher, and that stock went wasted. So there is no condition when an equilibrium can be reached in the market, and this is only and only in theory. Let's begin again with one more example, and what is that example? Is about hotel tariffs. And what is that? So basically, you can see the same fluctuating prices of hotels during the demanding season as well as the non-demanding season. Let's say, for example, during the off days when you're planning to go for vacations at Goa, then what you will see that it's just 1,500 rupees per night. Monday in July, low demand. Acha, the demand also depends upon days too. Weekdays, the demand is low. Weekends, the demand is high. Similar like surge in the price, you will see that's around 8,000 rupees per night when there is tourist season, like when the monsoon is very good, when majorly, like particularly when I talk about New Year season, even the prices will increase high because the demand will be high and the few number of rooms. Whenever the supply is less, demand is high, the price will increase. Okay, getting my point? So yes, this is also one of the example. Why does government enters the market? Now comes the question. So beta, according to what we were seeing right now, the two factors that makes the market, the two factors that influences the market, the two factors that fluctuates the price in the market are demand and supply. Okay. But now, who is demanding? The people. Who is supplying? The people. Okay, the demanding is from the people who want to buy things, and the supply is by the suppliers. What if both these pillars work, what we can say, with corruption? Or both these pillars, like one of the pillar, that is supplier particularly, started charging the prices according to their will and wish, and it actually affects the common people in the society. That is the reason that the government interference is required. So beta, when you look at the different market strategies around the world, among different countries of the world like Russia, right now you're in class 9, but up till last year there was a topic that is Russian Revolution, and by that we saw that where this word came here. So we saw that in Russian Revolution, they made economy as planned economy, where a central authority takes all the charges to decide what will be supplied, at what price it will be supplied, and all the resources will belong to the central government. Why I'm telling that to you? Because there are a lot of times when government enters the market, government interferes the market. when we were making the constitution, deciding the future of India, there were a lot of questions raised in the parliament, not parliament, I will say constituent assembly at that time, that what can we do if government will not actually enter the market, the private suppliers will work according to will and wish. We can't afford that, right? But if government will over interfere, then also the freedom to choose the tradition to trade occupation will not be there, and that is also a fundamental right. And in balanced approach is also applied that, like also taking the background of being India, like India being a colonial country, we were used by the Britishers for the resources for more than 300 years. That actually affected our economy. Hence, choosing the economy of India became a big task. Why I'm telling you this, because beta, this is not only for India, this is for the countries all around the world. That actually, what is the role of government in particularly deciding those factors of market? So what happens now, it actually regulates the unfair practices like unfair practices by fixing the price ceiling. Now what is price ceiling? A maximum price on which a seller can charge, right? Like for example, there are certain essential items in the market. For example, sanitary pads, for example, essential medicines. Like if we take again the example of COVID times, when there was high demand of mask or oxygen cylinder, if government would not have entered in the price ceiling, it would like just blast so high prices. So beta, price ceiling is a initiative or a step taken by government to seal the price, that this is the maximum price, you can't sell more than that, and hence it is known as essential products. It is added into the list of essential products, and medicines is one among them. Okay? Like there is a price ceiling for LPG cylinders also, right? And then price ceiling for a lot more things. Next is about price floor, a minimal price that can be charged. Now what happens? A farmer is producing wheat. Okay? Let's take the example of a farmer producing wheat. What happened? Any natural disaster occurs, flood occur, or anything, drought occur, and the crops he has grown destroyed. Now he is not able to sell the crop at a fair price in the market because its quality is not as per the market standards, and whatever he sold, whatever the profit he got, it actually very less than what it was expected and what has been invested. Now what happened? He will fall into debt, right? Because he has already taken money to invest before the cropping season. So now he will fall into debt, and India has faced certain farmer suicide cases previously. So I'm just telling you an example. In that case, what government can do? Government did minimum support price. That means they fixed that whatever you grow, whatever quality you grow, I am going to pay you for 1 kg of wheat, for example, 16 rupees or 20 rupees. So a minimum support price is fixed, and that is known as price floor. A minimum price that can be charged or that can be given. Okay, next is about checking monopoly. Why this is very, very important. What happens na beta? Because one seller is benefited by certain things, like he might be rich, he might be having industries or etc. He is facilitated with making more products. Okay, so what happens? He controls the supply and overcharge and restrict the output. What happens? As he has all the supply of a single product, he can like hoard it. He can stop it from coming in the market. When it is an essential item, needed item, what will happen? The demand of it will increase, and the people are ready to give it whatever price it is being charged. And hence the monopoly is created. The government keep prices and quantities in a manner to check the consumers are not being affected by these monopolies, right? For this regulation, certain authorities are being made to keep it more fair and transparent, that is RBI for banking, to check the flow of money, and whenever required to pull the flow by increasing the percentage of what? Percentage of interest rate in the loans. Right? Then we have SEBI, that is for Security Boards of India, Security and Exchange Boards of India basically. TRAI, that is Telecom Authority, and then Consumer Right Protection Act, that is CCPA. ठीक है. So there are a lot of institution made to reduce those unfair practices. In those unfair practice, let's understand with the help of example exactly the sanitizer price control. COVID-19, as I just told you, what is done? Price ceiling is done. Now what happened? Demand surged during the time of COVID-19. Now stockouts, when there was stockouts, because stock was not, nobody was prepared for COVID-19. Sharp prices rise. When sharp prices rise, people thought that still when we have the stock, let's hoard it, let's keep it. Whenever more prices will increase, we will bring it in the market. So government entered here declaring sanitizer as essential items. Under the Act 1955, keeping a 200 milliliter bottles can only be sold at 100 rupees and not more than that. Okay, so here comes two words, hoarding. Hoarding means stocking a product in the objective that if we stock it, right, we do not flow it in the market, its demand will increase, the people will be able to charge more, the prices will be increasing. Okay, so stockpiling goods beyond needs, fearing stockage. Sometimes it happens in the market in terms of potatoes and tomatoes too, right? You will find that the sellers will hoard it in the cold storages and will see that whenever the market demand is increasing, let's bring it so that people are charging more now. Okay. Now here is black marketing also, that is illegal trade of banned and regulated products. Yes. Provision of public goods, what is that? Government interfere in providing. I won't say interfere, government also provides us public goods. That means the good that is made for the public, and those goods are of high investment and hence government take a call on it. And they are of the basic needs of individual, like railways, right? Consider that railways went into the hand of private individual. What will happen? There will be a sharp increasing in the ticket prices and the common people will not be able to afford it. For the common people, there are government hospitals, government schools. I am not talking about the condition, but at least it is in the existence right now. To the people who cannot go to private schools, private hospitals, right, this public good is there. Like parks are there, roads are there, bridges are there, defense, sanitation. So these are the products that are made by the government. These are the goods that are made by the government. The free rider problem, a neighborhood park. In every family paid 5,000, the park get built. But many think if others pay, I will use it for free. Too little is collected and the park everyone wants is never built. It happens sometimes and hence government take a call on that. Right? Sometimes if we feel that let's do something collectively, but if one rejects, the work is not done. In that, government takes a call. So here we have a question, a price ceiling set by the government is what? Ceiling. So maximum price a seller can charge. Again MCQ question, what government does too much now? Now comes the main point. So we studied beta depend on demand, we studied about supply, we studied about market equilibrium, we also studied about what is the role of government in the market. But now, don't you think that here is the time to actually understand that what is the true role of government? Is sometimes government doing more than required? Or there are certain limitations of those interference by the government? Yes, they are, and that is price distortion. Like there is a cap on the weight at 20 rupees when the market says 30 rupees. I was telling you about market support price. Okay, MSP, sorry, that is minimum support price. Please pay attention to this concept. So what happened, as there was natural disaster and agriculture totally depends upon monsoonal things. As they depends upon monsoonal thing, it impacted a lot. What happened now? So in this, to reduce farmer suicides and the debt trap problem of farmers, here government took a call that minimum support price will be decided. So what is minimum support price? It is a pre-decided price. Right? It is a pre-decided price that is being told to the farmer that if you grow crop, right, whatever happen, it gets destroyed, whatever happen, it is of low quality, right? I am going to give you a fixed 20 rupee for 1 kg, right? If it is also even in a very good quality or it is in worst, a cap is being provided. A cap is done of 20 rupees. Now what happens? It is useful very much in the times when the crop is destroyed. or the crop is of not as per good quality, right? When the farmer went to the market, it was about to be sold only for rupees 5, 7, 8, 10, etc. Then this condition is beneficial, but it created chaos. It created chaos when the same, because see, every year it will not be destroyed, right? So it was a condition when other farmers do not choose to be this part of MSP, they sold their good quality of crop, right, in a higher price, that was 30 rupees. Now the farmer who accepted this MSP is feeling that, yeah, I also have the same quality of crop, but I am selling it to the government at a cape of 20 rupees, but if I would have sold it in the market for 30 rupees, it could be more beneficial. So what happens now, beta? Sometimes for products, right, products that need to be in the market for the public good, for the public welfare, government interferes and make a cap on the product, which is actually disheartening for the supplier. Okay? Then there are compliance burden, there are a lot of license system, like if you want to start an industry, if you want to start a business, a lot of license, permits, procedures pile up. A small restaurants need food safety, fire safety, pollution, local clearance. See, this is required, but it is costly and slow in India. So second thing is this compliance burden and less innovations. So beta, what happens now when your procedure is not smooth? What will happen? Your innovation actually decreases. When you don't have a lot of money, actually decreases. When you don't have any support from the government to start any business, this actually decreases. So a democratic government must weigh consumer, producers and workers and then interfere with the objective of welfare. Okay? Next is the government fixes a maximum price below the market price for vaccine. Why? Which is correct. Why they created? Because it creates a shortage and excess demand, and hence the price was decreased. Okay? So just a whole picture of the chapter in one go. We studied about demand. So what is demand, beta? Demand is basically the willingness plus ability of a person to buy a product. Okay? Law of demand, when price increases, the quantity decreases, because there is an inverse relation between demand and price. But however, there is direct relationship between the price and the supply. Why? Because price will increase, the supplier will also supply more products, because so then they can earn more profit. Equilibrium, a condition that exists only in theory, not in actual. And then we studied about the government. And I hope that everything is clear to you regarding this chapter. I'm not going to leave you without these NCERT questions. I'm going to brief you about the NCERT question, and I wish that today itself you will read the NCERT and then try to solve this question. In case you find any problem, bacha, I will be there. The same PDF for the same lecture will be added in the description box so that it is helpful for you. Okay? Clear? Everything? Very good. So increase in income always leads to rise in demand for goods. Now what is this? An increase in income. Okay? If your income increases, now your spending will be increased because you have more income, and hence there will be a rise in the demands of the product. Obviously, defend or refute giving reasons for the same. So if you agree with this, give your points. If you do not agree with this, give your points. This is how we are going to frame this question. Next, again in MCQ, if petrol price double, what happen? So one day you got to know that the prices of petrol increases eventually. What you will do? Will the demand for diesel cars increase? But if petrol price is increasing, diesel is also increasing eventually. Demand for electric car, demand for car accessories. By if petrol price is increasing, it has no relation with car accessories. Public transport, so basically demand for electric cars will be increased in this sense. Okay, next is about NCERT question. A farmer traditionally irrigates field manually. Manually, you understand na? Yeah, by itself. Then he later installed drip irrigation. We studied the same example in the book. So he installed what? Drip irrigation, a technology that is actually upgraded one, which is reducing the quantity of water by 40% and increasing the yield. That means the produce by 30%. How does it affects? You have to explain each of them. How does it affects the cost of production? Beta, as drip irrigation is a new technology, introducing a new technology, right? Up till now labor was doing it, he himself was doing it. This technology, that means it increased the investment cost of production, and hence when the product will come, its price will also be increased. Yes, this is the relation. His willingness to supply at different prices, beta, when yield is increased na, right? When yield will increase, this will also, like, not at different prices but at a good price. Okay? The overall market supply, if many farmers adopt this, if many farmer adopts it, if it can increase the yield of a single farmer by 30%, and if everyone applies that, what will happen? The overall supply, that means the market supply, will also be increased. Okay? Next question. During online festival sales, the prices of many products are very low. Why they are low? Use the concept of demand and supply to explain why the seller sells at such low prices. What happens to equilibrium when the price is low? Does this benefit only customers or sellers as well? Explain. So beta, what happened na? During the festive times, okay, during the festival times, we are aware that the demand of the product is actually very high. So according to the law of demand, okay, according to the law of demand, whenever the demand is high, the price will be reduced. Okay, the price will be reduced. This is the law, right? We have seen that during the time festivals are there is a high demand of ethnic clothes, high demands of all the necessities that we need in a festival time, and hence in the market the things are available at cheaper cost because they are high in demand. Then, but what happens with the seller? Now comes the question, what happens with the seller? According to the law of supply, okay? According to the law of supply, what we studied, whenever the price is low, the supplier will also supply less. But here, as the demands are more, and if the supplier supply less, there will be shortage of the product. There will be shortage of the product, but during this time, the supplier will not do this. Why, beta? Whenever the product are being sold in high quantity, right, the profit margin actually increases. The profit margin actually increases. For example, you are a person who makes shirts. You are a person making 10 shirts in a week because the demand of the market was that. So now you're investing, machine is working, lights are working in your investment is more. So you are just selling 10 shirts, your profit margin is less. But with the same infrastructure, you are now selling 100 quantity. What will happen? Your profit margin will increase. This is the time when supplier choose, right? Supplier choose to bring all his products and to clear the stock, and hence the sale is referred as stock clearance sale. So in the festive time, the law of supply is not exactly what we studied in book. What will happen to equilibrium when the price is low? So basically equilibrium is not there. Demand equals to supply. This is not going to happen. Okay? This is the explanation to this question. Let's move to another one. Suppose the government set up sale price for an essential vaccine below the market driven price. What is likely to happen? Choose from the options below and elucidate your point. So what happened, beta? Government sets up a maximum sale price. That means the price of a product reduced because of the government's interference for an essential vaccine. But this essential vaccine, the vaccine is essential. So the demand is not going to reduce, rather the demand will be increased only. But as the prices is decreased, supplier will not be willing to sell it at the same price, and hence it will lead to the shortage of the product in the market. Okay, it will lead to the shortage of the product in the market. Okay, great. Now we have more questions. The government levies higher taxes on products such as tobacco and alcohol to promote healthier choices among citizens. Can you find out other products? You have to do it. Find out other products and list them. This is your homework. Can excessive government regulations hurt market? Explain with suitable example. So beta, here we have to talk about the points like price ceiling, okay? Price ceiling, then price floor. Okay, these are the two important key terms which we have to discuss in this type of question. Explain each of them with the help of example that are already given in the book. And the last question, visit the nearby vegetable market and try to find the answers. By visit, please, and try the answers. This is to be done by you. Okay, and fine. I just forget to add the text over here. Yeah. So this is one of the question. If you are not able to understand, please let me ask. Beta, this is related to equilibrium. All the concepts are clear in the lecture itself. I don't know how I missed to put the question and only the graph is added here. This is the last question of your NCERT book. And this is how we completed an important chapter of economics, that is price puzzle. And I hope everything is clear, and if not, comment session is always open for all my students. Just give your feedback. In the description, link to the PDF will be shared. Like the session, do subscribe the channel, come back in my next video, and do not forget to just join the live session. Beta, we are Diksha Vedantu CBSE English, and we here teach everything in English because you are going to write your answers in English. Actually, it is for the students who find difficulty in studying in English or Hindi lectures. So I hope this is beneficial for you. Up till now, I covered all the important chapters of class 9th part 1 book. However, some of the chapters were uploaded during the time the book was not released. But now, what I'm going to do is to remake again those chapters from the NCERT. I'm not saying that all the chapters were there. Some of the chapters I researched and made it for you, and it helped you a lot. I have seen a very good response of students in that. So we will be making it, we will be learning together, and I'm there for your SST preparation throughout your class 9 plus class 10 journey too. For now, bye-bye, take care, stay healthy, meet you super soon.